I live for the mock drafts. And McShay has 2.0 up on ESPN.com right now. And he has the Colts trading up and taking Bryce Young. Indy hasn't drafted a quarterback in the first round since they took Andrew Luck in that same spot in 2012. Number 2 overall, McShay has the Texans taking C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. Their primary starter last year was Davis Mills. He went in the 3rd round a few years ago. At number 7 is where he has the next quarterback, the Raiders taking Kentucky's Will Levis. The Raiders, of course, after releasing Derek Carr yesterday. Again, you can see the entire first round of McShay's mock draft on ESPN.com right now. He has a 4th quarterback going in that first round, and it's high. Anthony Richardson at 9 overall from Florida. The 4 quarterbacks in the top 10 would tie the record for the most in the common draft era. We will see. And I kept Herman in the conversation with me here as well to sort of break down some of these players from a coaching perspective. But McShay, why Bryce Young at number 1? These 3 quarterbacks I think are going to go back and forth through the process. Why do you have Young number 1?
I think he's special. And listen, he's undersized, and that's going to be the whole conversation leading up to the draft. 5'10 and a half is what I was told by an NFL scout who went and measured him in the summer. And when I talked to him before the Mississippi State game, he said, I bulked up to about 193. And he's working with the nutritionist. It's just, it's not normal for his frame to be over 200, but I think he's going to get there. So the biggest concern is, can he stay durable and healthy throughout his career? But I think he's a smaller version of Patrick Mahomes. The presence he has in the pocket, the ability to feel pressure coming, the ability to see the whole field and make all the throws with really good touch and timing. He's different than all these other guys. I sit here and I watch tape over and over again, and Will Levis has a great arm. Anthony Richardson's the most physically talented. C.J. Stroud had an unbelievable career at Ohio State, but Bryce Young is different.
Yeah, your buddy Mel loves Will Levis. There's so much debate on these guys going back and forth. But Herman, I have to ask you as a coach in all of this. We've all, because he plays at Alabama, we've all seen Bryce Young his whole career. He won the Heisman. There isn't any question how great he is. But how much concern would you have because of the size?
There's going to be concern with some teams. And some teams, there won't be any concern. They'll just say, we're going to take him. He's going to be fine. He played in the SEC. I get it. Look, I drafted Brody Coyle out of Alabama. Similar build, got hurt. Never was healthy. Yeah. Right. So you're kind of going, hey, you know, he made it through the SEC. He's a special player. I recruited a kid out of high school, come to Arizona State. Yeah. So I know a lot about this guy. But he is a special player. But the size will look at some teams and go, no, we're not going there. And that's okay. There's different sizes. There's different quarterbacks, right? But
he is from modern-day high school in the Los Angeles area, as you can tell. I've been doing my draft prep as we get ready for this thing. And then, McShay, what this means, you have the Bears trading out of that spot at number 1 overall. And you know that there are many who will wonder, do they consider restarting the quarterback clock, or do they feel they just have their guy in Justin Fields and that's it? Clearly, you think they have their guy.
Listen, personally, I would take Bryce Young if I was Chicago. I don't think that's going to be the decision that they make. I think they're going to move back and take advantage of the fact that you have Houston at 2, Indianapolis at 4, Las Vegas at 7, I believe, Carolina at 9. There's a bunch of teams that want to move up. How far back do they move? We'll find out. But I would do it because I would want Bryce Young because I think he's an upgrade over Justin Fields, and I want his rookie contract so I have 5 years. But I don't think they're going to wind up making that decision, which means they're going to move back with one of these teams. I chose Indianapolis at 4 because if I'm Chicago and I'm Ryan Poles, the GM, I don't want to move out of the spot where I can't get Will Anderson, the defensive lineman from Alabama, or Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle from Georgia. They're the 2 special players in this draft that are not quarterbacks.
Exactly. That's going to be where the threshold is. There's the 3 quarterbacks and the 2 defensive players, and we'll see if the Bears are able to get, still able to get one of those defenders. Going to be fascinating. I'm being told Jim Irsay had a tweet that we want to see. We're going to see this together for the first time. I haven't seen it yet, but Jim Irsay has tweeted. Go ahead and put that up because I haven't seen it. He tweeted, my relationship with the Chicago Bears goes back more than 60 years, and that's a picture of him sitting on a bear at the Lincoln Park Zoo. Zoo, which is in Chicago. Okay, so he's already very openly talking about making that trade, and I think that is one of the expectations, right? They've tried it with a bunch of veterans the last few years. It hasn't worked.
Todd McShay, I'm going to tell you something about those Bears.
Quickly.
You mentioned the defensive players.
Yeah.
They need some offensive line help.
Hello, where you were going to tell some NFL teams what they need to do. Well, let's start with the Eagles and their quarterback. What do they need to do?
Hello, 10-year deal for their quarterback. Not 5 years, 10 years. Give him his money. This is your franchise quarterback. He means everything to this football team as well as the city. This guy had an unbelievable game in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. If they win, he actually will be the MVP.
Oh, for sure.
And what he's done in 1 year to transform himself to be a better quarterback in the pocket and throw the football, it goes unannounced.
10-year deal, says Herm Edwards, sort of similar to what Kansas City did with Mahomes. Okay, how about the Cowboys? What does Dak Prescott need in Dallas?
He needs a supporting cast, and it starts with another running back, right? And a wide receiver.
They need both of those.
You give Dak that and a supporting cast. The Dallas Cowboys, I hate to say that because I'm, with the Eagles in the NFC East.
Right.
But the Cowboys will be much improved. They got to help the quarterback. Zach cannot take this team and put him on his back. Right. He needs a supporting cast.
DeAndre Hopkins, maybe some people looking at D-Hop out of Arizona.
He's a good player.
Would that fill the bill?
That helps.
All right. Hello.
That helps. Every time you get a wide out, that helps you.
All right. One more. How about Green Bay? What do they need to do with Aaron Rodgers?
Move on. move on. You've been hostage for 3 years. Right now he's sleeping. You don't even know where he's at. You don't know what mood he's going to wake up in. You got to move on. You just got to move on, right? I mean, I hate to say that because he's a great player.
Yes, he is.
He's holding you like you wait for him to wake up and you say, how did he sleep tonight? He didn't sleep very well. Oh, okay, go back to sleep. Maybe tomorrow you feel better. You got to move on.
Okay, I love it. Herm Edwards says, hello, the Packers need to move on from Aaron Rodgers. And we were planning to do an Aaron Rodgers conversation here, but then McShay just happened. And I have to follow up on that. When I saw the look on Herman's face and Ninko's face, when McShay said what he just said live here, I knew we have to live in it. And he's not the only one I've heard say it. Let's make this clear. The Chicago Bears have the #1 pick in the upcoming draft. There are many people who believe that kid who just threw that ball, Bryce Young, the undersized but spectacular quarterback at Alabama, who won the Heisman and everything else 2 years ago, that he is going to be the next Patrick Mahomes. And Todd McShay says if it were up to him, McShay, he would trade Fields and draft Young if he was the Chicago Bears. Herman, I was looking right at your face when he said it. What was your reaction?
That I'm keeping Fields.
Why?
I just think that when you look at how he plays, he fits that team's style. What he has to do is do what Jalen Hurts did, become a better passer. Mm-hmm. They got to help him a little bit too. They need some offensive line help, but if he becomes a better passer, you're looking at Jalen Hurts #2. Look, he ran for 1,100 yards.
Yep.
Had 8 running touchdowns, right? Had 17 passing touchdowns. Turned the ball over some, but you got to give him some help. Get him some wide receivers. Spruce up that offensive line, spruce it up some.
Right.
You got a good quarterback.
Yeah, they need a lot of help on that team. They were the worst roster in the NFL, and that's why they wound up in that position. But one of the arguments will be you start the clock again on a young, inexpensive quarterback. But, Ninko, you were already shaking your head.
It makes me want to go, hello.
You can say it right.
Hello. What are we doing? You're going to trade a guy that you drafted a couple years ago to get a rookie quarterback who's 5'9"? Come on. No, we can't do that. You stay with Fields. You go and you build something through the draft. Give him a piece. Give him something offensively. Give him a better offensive line, and you build with Fields.
This guy fits the mold of a Chicago Bears quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Well, for the last 60 years, that hasn't been such a good mold, right?
No. We say that.
Just
they won a Super Bowl, by the way, didn't they?
They did win a Super Bowl.
With who?
Jim McMahon.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, they did.
So, we get up, we get in all enamored is, well, I'm going to have this quarterback. There are not many quarterbacks that can carry teams.
True.
Right?
Very true.
More quarterbacks have won Super Bowls that didn't carry the team than the ones that carried the team.
Look, the reality, there are a lot of people, and I still have Jeff Darlington with us here. Jeff, let me get you in on all of this. There are a lot of people who say, if you're looking for the guy who could make that next jump, the guy who could be the next Josh Allen, the next Jalen Hurts, who just elevated so much, that maybe Fields could be that guy in Chicago if they get him the help and all of that. Jeff, what are you hearing about all this?
That's right, but I do think at some point you have to take the emotion out of it, the connection to Justin Fields, and say, okay, what will we get for that first overall pick if we were to trade it to, say, the Indianapolis Colts? What would we get if we decided to trade Justin Fields? And ultimately do the math and look at it that way. Because if it's clear that you're going to get just so much, just a huge amount if you trade away that first overall pick, then you do that and you build around Fields. But if it looks like you can take the quarterback that you truly believe in is the next Patrick Mahomes, you've got to consider it as well. So I still believe there's so much work to be done, so much math to be done, so many equations to be figured out before this is as simple as you just definitely go with Justin Fields.
And the size, Nico. I've asked Herm, and I haven't asked you, how much would that, as a guy who made your living hitting these people, how much does Bryce Young's size scare you?
It's a big deal. That is a big deal. You think about some of the bigger quarterbacks that are mobile. Even Josh Allen. You saw Josh Allen kind of just get worn down as the season went on. I mean, you can't expect to be 5'9", 5'10", and take the punishment as a running mobile type quarterback in the NFL. It just doesn't happen. And even Kyler Murray. I mean, he's rehabbing an ACL right now.
Right.
Because he was trying to run around and scramble.
And
to be an undersized guy, especially at that position.
Hurts got hurt.
Hurts got hurt.
Yeah. Guys are going to get hurt.
Guys that are big body guys still get hurt as mobile quarterbacks. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was limping around the Super Bowl. He hurt his ankle. Like, to be a mobile quarterback, you're going to take punishment. At the end of the day, that's what you're going to do.
But the comparison people are going to make is going to be to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, for lack of a better word, is much thicker.
Yes,
much thicker than Bryce Young.
And he just tore his ACL.
And he just tore his ACL. Okay, this is a conversation that may go all the way into April. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.